I love that car more than anything that I have.
Dad, what about us?
You need a Q-tip?
Good morning, Reddit. Oh, I meant YouTube. Well, whatever. These videos are getting harder to stretch than a good piece of beef jerky. Anyhow, time to focus our attention on this last very mysterious area from Silksong, known in the fandom as the Core Forest. Basically, also, I need to admit that Core Forest is only a fan-given name before anyone tries to hunt me down on that one. It's a fan name, I am not responsible for that name. It derives from the promotional material, where Team Cherry said that Hornet will have to go through Core Forest, I think, I might show it on screen. And so that's where the name comes from, so please don't kill me before that one, okay? So, this bright blue and red shaded area is home to fan adoration since its unveiling. 3 clips of Coral Forest are known. The first one is shown in the reveal trailer on the Explore a New Kingdom section. The clip shows Hornet running through a bright area. In the background there are small floating creatures seen, sort of like birds. In the foreground one can see sort of fish-like creatures, which might insinuate them being enemies of some sort, or at least original to the area itself. What's interesting is that Hornet enters the area from the left side. Now this must not mean anything, it is just of note, so to speak. The Coral Forest seems to have differentiated types of area, so there's a good chance that this area will be quite large. Notably, waterfalls are also decorating the background, which already marks the striking connection that the Coral Forest is connected to water themes, sort of like the water temple from Ocarina of Time, which might be important later on. That's foreshadowing, guys, that's foreshadowing. Other than that, this first clip is perhaps the most bland of the 3, as it only shows off the area itself without any huge discoveries in the background. It still looks beautiful though. I mean, really, they did a great job with that area. I have to admit that one. Almost as beautiful as the sweet Discord server, which you should totally join and check out in the Deep Dogs comment section or in the description. It's called Deep Dogs Deep Dogs. It's a clever alliteration and you should totally check it out. So click the link in the description below to get some infos and memes and whatever. That was good product placement. Moving on to the second clip, this one is vastly more interesting. Hornet seems to be escaping and running from the attacks of a silver steel looking enemy or even mini-boss. I have talked about this character in my Steel Assassins video. This steel figure seems to be a member of Sharp's gang. Sharp being a steel assassin sent to hunt Hornet and stop her on her adventures. Who Sharp was sent from is unknown, but we do know that he is from a distant land, perhaps even Farlu. Sharp's companions are less known, but this steel enemy here seems to be one of them. It's got 2 big sharp blades as hands and seems to utilize smaller laser shooting companions, Hornet escaping from them by using her wall jump. Another enemy in this clip is more hidden, but seems to be of Coral Forest origin, unlike the Steel Assassins who look more out of place, I would say. This smaller red enemy hugs the wall and traverses upwards and almost gives up kind of a crab look. The shades in this clip are noticeably darker, perhaps indicating that this is further down the line of the Coral Forest. The Steel Assassin seems like quite the hard enemy. Anyway, chains are also visible in the background and foreground. These might be pulling some parts of the area upwards, sort of like the Deep Dogs demo had with its levers and platforms. These chains are also seen in other parts of the kingdom though, which makes me think that this area is close to Greymoor, further supported by the darker shades. The background also holds some grey bony sort of elements, so a connection to the Forest of Bones is also very much possible. Finally, Hornet has 7 masks in this part of the trailer. But seeing as these masks are probably not the best indicator of game progression, we can't really conclude much from this, except that this part of the Coral Forest is most likely mid to end game. The third and final clip now holds Coral Forest's very own boss battle, also dubbed by fans as the Coral Guardian. The location of this exact fight is unknown, but going by the environment it seems to be in some sort of coral temple. The pillars in the background, which could be decorated with barnacles, though I am still unsure of that, seeing as they look different from the other ones, which we will see later in a bit, might suggest that there is a connection to another area which we will talk about soon. The Coral Temple is definitely not as bright as the first Coral Forest clip, but definitely a bit lighter than the Steel Assassin clip. Lumafly lanterns are also decorating the ceiling and provide a light source for this otherwise sorta gloomy area. The Coral Guardian also bears an interesting design, seeing as he is wearing a mask or a shell, which is also marked by a red scar, which also, probably a mistake, switches sides mid-fight, but I mean, that's probably going to be fixed, I suppose. He seems to be in control of the elements, as he is able to just shout and poof up some spikes from the ground. His armor looks like steel or metal, and has some red and grey color scheme going on. He might be some sort of guardian for a coral tribe, or perhaps he just defends some sort of coral artifact. Who knows? Now, even though this boss battle looks harder than something like the Mosmota for example, it still looks a bit easier than boss fights like the Citadel Knight or Seth. So I would go with a mid-game boss fight, most likely. But I must admit the fighting area is quite small, seeing as the room is not that high. It will be interesting to see this play out in the final game. Now, for this last part I wanted to focus on areas that might be connected to the core forest. Either they are close to them or they are sub-areas, we don't really know yet. I have already mentioned Forest of Bones and Greymar as possible candidates. But one other area which has more clues is known as the Barnacle area, or sometimes Ancient Sea. This area boasts giant barnacles in its background. It is visibly darker and gives me some close to Greymar vibes. Even though not everything that is dark must automatically mean that it's connected to Greymar, so take that with a grain of salt. Anyway, this area is also sea themed, and the barnacles seen on the pillars of the Coral Temple might suggest some sort of connection. The Lumafly lanterns are kinda similar, and one town we see here seems to be inhabited by my current favorite character, Elder Shell. His small walking stick is just too cute, I love it. It's my favorite character, I must admit. The town boasts a bench, and the houses look like giant barnacles, similar to the ones in the background. On a civilizational level, this area is definitely middle ground, as it does have lamps and housing, its inhabitants seemingly quite intelligent, or at least mindful and conscious. Later on, this area is seen again under the new tools section. The small enemies crawl over the platforms, dangling in mid-air. We can see some ropes or bands in the background, but it is unclear what kind of purpose these serve. Otherwise, nothing of special is of note. Now, this was just a small info video. My speculation goes to say that the Coral Forest will be a mid-game area and will be quite large with multiple sections of it. The Steel Assassins seem to show up here and implement their shenanigans to stop Hornet. It didn't really look like a boss battle though, so Hornet might have to flee from these dudes, sorta like me fleeing from my bank after stealing 500 million. What connections does the Coral Forest have to other areas can only be speculated by analyzing minor parts, from background details to shading. What is your theory on this area? Do you like it or distaste it? What kind of purpose might it serve in the lore? Leave your answers down in the comments below. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Join the Discord server as I said, and speak soon, Divya. Farewell!